What's up, gamers? Yeah, it's me. No, I didn't plan for that. I didn't plan to cough when I showed up on screen. That was an unfortunate incident. But, but, we are here with more Higurashi. And that's something that I would consider pretty pog. Reina's trying to kill us. She's trying to kill us and she has been trying to kill us. And, I wish she wouldn't, but, that's it do be how it do be. Alright. Continue. I guess I'd be lying if I said I didn't get any sleep. I tried to stay awake all night, but there were definitely gaps in my memory. I guess I kept nodding off and jerking awake in panic all night. I spent all night hugging the metal bed and sat on top of the futon I used to barricade my door. Waiting, waiting, watching just in case someone tried to break through my window. If I left the spot, someone would break through the door, sending the futon flying and attack me. But if I stopped watching the window, someone would break through the glass and attack me. I tried telling myself I was just being paranoid, but I couldn't sleep. Thought of being so vulnerable scared the living daylights out of me. If sleep meant taking that risk, then I didn't need it. It was so much better to just stay awake. At some point during that endless cycle of nodding off and jolting awake, light began to shine outside. But that was it. It wasn't so much the morning as it was just the sun simply having risen. I snuck a peek out through the curtains. Reina was gone. Oh my god. Imagine if she was still fucking out there. Jesus. I couldn't see her anymore, no matter how hard I looked. Finally, I could breathe a deep sigh of relief. The night was finally over. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tired, but I didn't feel like sleeping at the moment. I still had time, but I needed to make my own breakfast, so I'd better get started soon. Skipping school was also an option. With my mom gone, it'd be easy to play hooky. Honestly, I debated it. The risk involved in leaving my house was incalculable. So staying holed up in here was probably my safest option. But staying here wouldn't solve anything. Oishi-san wouldn't help me get without cold, hard evidence. Neither he nor my parents. So, unless I found some sort of proof, these relentless nights would never end. I stretched my body, tilted my head back, and closed my eyes just like I did every morning. I regulated my breathing and regained my senses. Calm down, Keiichi. Let's go to school. Let's wait until they set up their trap for me. That didn't mean I was just gonna twiddle my thumbs. I needed to avoid that trap and secure an irrefutable evidence. Take note of the plates of any car that drives by. If I see someone suspicious, check their clothes and face. I wasn't just protecting myself, I was preparing myself to turn their attack against them and retaliate. The tension was similar to when two samurai were both aiming to slay each other with a single motion as they drew their katanas. I was not at a disadvantage. I'd have a chance to retaliate. I finally felt a bit of courage growing in my chest. Alright, let's go to school. I tightened my grip on Satoshi's bat. He was the only partner I could count on. Satoshi, please lend me your strength. And entrust your dying regrets to me, since you were probably murdered. I'll make sure I dispel them. With renewed resolve, I checked the clock. It was still early. Of course, I was going to school by myself today. If I didn't want to run into Reina and Rion, I needed to leave now. The shattered fragments of the cupboard were still strewn all over the entryway. Right. I meant to clean that up last night, but never got around to it with the phone call and everything. If my parents came back and saw this while I was at school, I'd never hear the end of it. Still, I'd be wasting time if I cleaned it up right now, and considering what would happen if I ran into Reina and Mion, it wouldn't be too late to clean it up after I got back home. Making extra certain that the doors were locked, I left the house. My uniform was still covered in mud from yesterday, so I left it in the washer. Today, I was going to school in a tracksuit. By wearing a different outfit this morning, my mind was forced to accept that today was different from yesterday. I had a hunch. Today might be the day I get killed. Oh God. Keep your guard up, Keiichi. The only one who gets to decide if today is my last is me. I spent the morning practicing my swing like it was my natural routine. After a while, Reina arrived at school. Oh no. Our eyes met, but we said nothing. Okay, good. Reina said nothing about last night, as if it never happened. But I could see that those events were real by the wounds carved into her fingers. I just heard her telling Satoko and the others that the bandages were from hurting herself in the kitchen. Though it wasn't like it bothered me. The details that Oishi-san shared about Reina's incident before her transfer played vividly in my mind. Now that I knew about it, I couldn't even dream of Reina as a cute, ideal girl.
ケイちゃん、相変わらず甲子園一直線だね。
Yeah, something like that. It was Mion. I had already sensed her approach, so I wasn't that surprised.
ミオンか。わかってるなら放っておいてくれよ。俺は甲子園で忙しいんだ。
I gave her a curt reply without my usual jokes. Then I gave the bat an even larger swing, tactically trying to keep Mion from getting any closer.
ケイちゃんさ、ちょっと休憩。
I think Mion got the message, but she still urged me to give it a rest.
ホームルームまであとちょっとだろ。もう一汗かかせてくれよ。
I swung the bat even harder as a sign of my refusal.
ケイちゃんって野球、好きだったっけ？
最近好きになった。
最近って、昨日から？
わかってんなら聞くなよ。
あれまあ。スポーツマンにしては爽やかじゃないお返事だことで。
気が散る。放っておいてくれ。
I ignored Mion and kept swinging. Normally, she'd get mad or bored and leave if someone gave her the cold shoulder like this. But Mion just stood there, waiting patiently for me to stop swinging. I didn't sense any hostility, but we were at school, in plain view. I doubt she'd suddenly attack me here. Or was that too naive? Still, I was starting to get tired. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to take a break and hear her out.
何か用なんだろう。なんだよ。
Sweat poured from me as I stopped swinging. I noticed my shoulders were heaving as I breathed. I cursed my lack of exercise. At this rate, I might not be able to move as needed when the time came. I should probably keep practicing my swings to build stamina in addition to the excuse for carrying the bat around with me.
用ってわけでもないけどさ。お疲れのようなら後にするけど。
今でいい。
I'm only dealing with you right now because I judge this situation to be safe. Talking to you alone and away from others, that's out of the question.
さ。
Mion was uncharacteristically trying to choose her words. But unlike Oishi-san, it didn't look like she was going to talk about something I'd rather not hear. Mion was puzzled, trying to find the right thing to say. But then gave me a hearty laugh to break herself out of that mire.
おじさんダメだわ、こういうの。ボキャ品は辛いわ。
なんだよ、突然。言いたいことがあるならはっきりと言えよ。
Uh-oh.
やめてよ。素振り。
No. She got straight to the point. Her request was so frank, I didn't understand it for a moment. I had already stopped swinging to listen to her, didn't I?
ちゃんとやめてるだろ。
じゃなくて、今日で終わりにしてほしいの。
No.
悪いけど。
It took me some time to understand what she was asking for. What's wrong with swinging a bat?
なんでだよ。余計なお世話だよ。別に誰にも迷惑かけてないだろ。
かけてる。
Mion said it flat out. This didn't make any sense, and that was really irritating.
俺がいつ誰に迷惑をかけたよ。
Mion was at a loss for words. But she finally made up her mind and spoke. Though she stuttered as she said it.
だってさ、ケイちゃん、それ、人のバットだしさ。無断借用は悪いし。
転校した生徒の忘れ物だろ。本人が取りに来るまで借りてるだけだよ。
ああ、まあね。転校したし。
Mion grew uncharacteristically flustered. That made it all too clear that his transfer was a lie.
でも変わってるよな。兄貴だけ転校なんだろ。妹は転校しなかったんだろ。
Mion couldn't hide her reaction as my words shook her up.
ケイちゃん、知ってたの？
北条聡。聡子の兄貴だろ。去年、鬼隠しにあって消えた。
Oh, ho, ho. Getting straight to the point, my man. Unable to respond to that, Mion fell silent.
レナにも言われた。なんで素振りを始めたのかってな。サトシもやってたんだってな。素振り。それも失踪の直前に。これってさ、お社様のたたりに合う前兆ってわけなのか？
Oh! Mion panicked and looked around.
頼むよ、ケイちゃん。お社様の話は迂闊にしないでよ。私はそんなに信じてないからいいけどさ、他のみんなはすごく信じてる。
Wait. Oyashiro-sama is a dude? I thought it was a goddess. Huh.
レナなんかやばいくらいに。
やばいくらいに？
とにかく、みんな怖がってるんだよ。もしもこれが悪ふざけならやめな。サトシの真似は絶対にやめて。
I was the one who was scared. Who do I have to thank for taking up the bat in the first place? But it still unsettled me, knowing that my actions were overlapping with Satoshi's. It'd be one thing if someone suggested it, but I thought I was making my own decisions.
先に言っとく。俺はサトシのことは何も知らない。みんなが隠してたからな。
隠してたってわけじゃ。
毎年起こる事件のことを隠してたろ。
それは、ケイちゃんを。
You're making it... Listen. Like, she's being, like, really straightforward right now. But, like, she's given us zero reason to trust her, so I'm just... No.
怖がらせたくなかったってのか？それが理由で、俺だけのけ者かよ！
いや、そんなつもりじゃ。
ミオンに直にダム現場で事件がなかったかって聞いたよな。ミオンはないって言ったじゃないか。バラバラ殺人があったのによ。嘘つき野郎。
ごめん。嘘ってわけじゃ。
仲間ってのは隠し事なんかなしだろ。そうだろ。じゃあお前らは仲間じゃない。
ケイちゃん、そんなのって。
Mion looked helpless and flustered. Was I imagining the tears in her eyes? I never could have imagined Mion acting like this.
ああ、それに先日の見舞いのおはぎ、あれうまかったぜ。血が出るかと思った。やったのはどっちだ？お前か？レナか？
私。
She admitted it so easily. I couldn't help but be surprised at how easy that was.
死ぬかもしれなかったんだぞ。仲間にあんな真似をするのかよ。
そんな。ちょっとしたいたずらじゃん。
A fucking prank! What? Mion gave me a wry smile mixed with confusion, causing even more anger to well up inside me.
あれがいたずらで済むかよ。
I grabbed Mion by the collar and lifted her up. That wasn't the same as putting Tabasco sauce in a piece of mochi. It was a needle! A sewing needle! If I had swallowed that and it lodged in my throat, what did she think would have happened? Mion's face froze as her body rattled in fear. This wasn't the Mion Sonozaki I knew anymore.
とにかく、お前は仲間じゃない。仲間じゃない奴の指図は受ける言われはない。俺のことは当分放っておいてもらうぜ。いいな。
Mion wasn't replying anymore.
俺を消そうとしても簡単にはいかないからな。お前らは最初から警察に疑われてんだ。 サトシを消せたように、簡単に消せると思うなよ。
I said it clearly. This was my declaration of war.
俺も過去の事件は、お前らが怪しいと思ってる。ダムの反対運動の時から、お前が警察の世話になってたことも、よく知ってる。隠しきれてると思うなよ。いいな！
どうして、そんなことまで。
Mion stood there with a dumbstruck look on her face. That was when I heard the principal ringing the bell for school. It was time for morning homeroom.
行こうぜ。委員長がいないとまずいだろ。ん？
At that moment, for the first time, I realized Mion was sobbing as tears ran down her cheeks.
ひどいよ、ケイちゃん。
You tried to fucking kill me! What the fuck? I wanted to console her, but I shut my mouth. I had no need to feel guilty. Yeah, no shit.
俺、行くぜ。ホームルーム遅れるなよ。
I left Mion, still shaking, as I turned around to head for the entrance. I had no idea how troubling it was to make a girl cry. Behind my back, I could hear her muttering. It was a faint mutter as she was speaking to herself.
そっか。
Uh-oh.
え？
She wasn't saying it to anyone. It was Mion talking to herself. But it was a sobbing voice that had a kind of giddy cursing tone. I inadvertently stopped and turned back towards her.
ケイちゃんに全部バラしたの。
No fuck!
あの野郎か。
Holy shit. Discord. Oh, who is this? Grove with Tam. Hello, Grove. How are you? Welcome to the stream. And yes, we do have a Discord. Feel free to join if you'd like. Thank you so much for stopping by. Oh my god, what the fuck? She balled up her fists as her tears continued to rain down. She glared at a spot at the ground with a terrifying yet smiling face, cursing. I hope we really didn't just kill Oishi-san. Oh my god. A chill ran down my spine from that demonic expression. His transformation. Mion's transformation was different from Reina's.
あの時、殺しとくんだったな。
Huh?
今年で定年だからって、容赦してやった恩も忘れやがって。
Retiring this year? Was she talking about Oishi-san? Well, not yet. No shit, dude.
ちくしょう。ちくしょう。あのじじい。
No, you're not. You ain't gonna kill nobody.
絶対に殺してやる。
It felt like the air itself had begun distorting. With Mion at the center, the world had begun to twist and spiral. Bending. Whirling. This was the first time I'd known, no, experienced, such a visage. Mion made up an excuse for her red eyes by saying there was something wrong with her contacts. After that, neither Reina nor Mion spoke to me for the rest of the day. Neither Satoko nor Rika-chan looked me in the eye. Strangely, I didn't feel hurt. Everything had just went back to the way it was. The month since I transferred in had been almost too much fun. That was all. School was supposed to be something like this to begin with. I should have disliked that feeling, but today felt oddly refreshing. The bell rung, sounding the end of the monotonous school day, which had felt so tense yet so dull. Since it would cause a lot of unpleasant memories if they asked me to join into the club activities, I promptly started preparing to go home without even looking at them. I stuffed the contents of my desk in my bag, wrapped my hand around Satoshi's now familiar bat, and began heading towards the entrance. I was assailed by both the exhausting relief that nothing had happened today and the tiring possibility of the same thing repeating tomorrow. But deep down, inside me, far beneath, in the recesses of my heart, achingly, I knew. This would be the last day of this cycle. Oh no. Don't die. Sumimasen. I couldn't tell how the ending would be. Whether it would end as I wished it to end, or if it would end as I hoped it wouldn't. Regardless of my current state, there was something more important than how things would end. There was something I wanted to know. Why did I have to be killed? How did it come to this? Why? For what purpose? Sunlight was relentless. The sun, the heat, even the air. They wouldn't give me my answers. Or could it be that the cries of the Higurashi were desperately trying to tell me something? Somewhere, mixed in with the shrieks, Tomitake-san and Satoshi were also probably trying to tell me something. I simply haven't been able to realize it yet. When I do realize it, I wonder if it will be amongst the Higurashi fruitlessly crying to the next victim. Glancing down at my feet, glancing down at my feet, I saw a Higurashi on its back, spasming weakly. Wee, wee, wee. There was still much of the summer left, yet this one was already chirping its last song. I couldn't tell what it was saying, no matter how hard I listened. But I had to try. I had to try to listen to what it was desperately trying to tell me. At that moment, the shrills of the Higurashi ceased all at once, as if they had huddled together, knowing that the person who had brought them to their dreadful fate had arrived. There was no mistaking it. The presence was approaching. The sound of footsteps was almost non-existent. If the Higurashi hadn't warned me by ending their chirping, I wouldn't have noticed. My exhaustion left me in a heartbeat. In its place was a rush of adrenaline that sharpened all my senses. I was just barely able to hold back that creeping, suffocating feeling of horror. It wasn't something I could hold back for long. But in this moment, when I needed to be razor sharp, I was able to retain my composure. I wasn't going to shout like I did yesterday. I hid myself calmly amongst the trees, waiting for my pursuer's shadow. Could I get them to pass by me? No. Since I was able to hear their footsteps, they were probably also able to hear mine. They might have already been able to tell that I'd hidden myself and was holding my breath. The person tailing me, was it Reina, just like yesterday? If it was Reina, I wouldn't hold back. I could just yell at her and make her go ahead like yesterday. If it wasn't Reina, it would depend on how they acted, I guess. Footsteps ambled closer. I swallowed, wiped my clammy hands on my pants, and readjusted the grip on the bat. I could tell that the fear I had beaten back once was now waiting for another opening to come at me. Who could it be? I peeked out from behind the tree at the person following me. Oh my god. Why is she staring like that? My god. Why are you so creepy? So a glimpse if you want to. Oh wait, did I read that? My imagination hadn't led me astray. It was Reina. There was a bit of relief as I realized it was someone I knew, but that feeling left me in an instant. This wasn't the same Reina that I knew. Her eyes were dark and lifeless, but her mouth appeared as if it was carved into a crescent. Yes, it looked like she was grinning slightly. And in her right hand was a hatchet. Jesus Christ! I hid myself behind the tree once again and recalled the unbelievable sight I just saw. What was that just now? The embodiment of terror laid bare. Baseball, practicing my swing. There were tons of excuses for me to be carrying a bat. But for that hatchet? There was no excuse for that. A hatchet? Just like that?
ケイキくん、
No. You leave us alone.
かくれんぼかなかな
You better leave us the fuck alone. My heart was pounding. Hard enough that I had trouble breathing. What little composure I had been able to hold on to was now crushed. In its place, cold sweat gushed forth, covering my entire body, letting me know precisely what kind of emotion had taken hold. Not good. Not good, not good. I wasn't able to hide myself completely. She already knew I was here.
レナを驚かせようとしたのかなかな
Decided that it would be better to reveal myself now, since there was still space between us, than to allow Reina to come any closer. I adjusted my grip on the bat again, readied myself mentally, and stepped out from behind the tree.
ケイイチくん、見つけた。
You found us. We found you, bro. Reina was pleased that she found me, eliciting a mysterious giggle. Her mouth was smiling, but her eyes told me that she was displeased by the fact that I had been hiding. Those eyes were just so empty. My legs began to quiver. Not good. In the pit of my stomach, some sort of vicious, hot and cold substance began spreading around. If I allowed it, that substance would slip into my bloodstream and undoubtedly freeze all the organs of my body. Not good. Not good. I'll be devoured by Reina at this rate. Strike back. Don't lose.
何の用だよ
I blustered, hiding behind my bravado. But Reina didn't flinch one bit.
ケイイチくんと同じ。帰り道だよ。
Uh-huh.
じゃあそのナタは何だよ
じゃあケイイチくんのそのバットは何なのかな
俺は素振りで。
じゃあレナは宝探しなの。
Uh-huh. Reina gave a flippant explanation as to why she had been carrying such a fearsome weapon.
宝探し
ダム現場の宝の山にね、また新しいかいいのを見つけたの。
Uh-huh.
だからね、それを発掘するために必要なの。
信じるかよ、そんなの
信じないよね。
Uh-oh. Well, she just straight up admitted. Yeah, no, I'm gonna kill you. Reina's laughing was obviously very strange. I'd seen Reina's transformation many times before, but the one today was completely different. Like her mischievous tone and the shrewd glint in her eyes. It wasn't something that roundabout. I'm not sure what to say. It's just so obvious.
待ってよ、ケイイチくん。
No. Man, he wasn't wrong. Today really might be the day he frickin' dies. Reina didn't stop walking, even as she let out that eerie laugh. Whenever Reina got too close to me, I'd scurry away and turn back towards her. This cycle repeated over and over. No matter how you looked at it, I was being chased by Reina and was trying to escape.
ついてくるなよ
それはできない相談だよ。レナの家もこっちだもん。
God almighty. When I met with Reina on this road yesterday, she cowered and trembled as she followed my commands. But today was different. Reina didn't show a hint of trepidation. Actually, wasn't I the one who was cowering? If the way home for Reina was the same, then that's fine. I just changed my route. That'd work out, wouldn't it? I turned onto a side street I'd never been down and knew little about. Reina saw me do that and followed me while laughing. Why? Why? Aren't you going home? Then just go home down the street you normally do. Why did you follow me down this weird little side road? Those thoughts screamed in my head, eventually spilling out of my mouth.
どうしてついてくるんだよ!
The tone of my voice was already tinged with terror.
圭一くんとお話ししたいから。圭一くんもレナとお話ししたいんじゃないかな。
No, we don't. We're good.
俺は何も話したいことなんかない!
嘘だよね。相談したいこと、きっとあるはずだよ。
ない!レナと話すことなんか何もないよ!
嘘だよね。
嘘じゃないよ!
Oh,
嘘だ!
Jesus Christ! Reina's scream echoed, startling some nearby birds into flight. I cringed in fear. The only other thing I could do was increase my pace.
お話ししようよ、圭一くん。お話。
Why was I running down this unfamiliar and deserted street?
圭一くんには悩んでることがあるんじゃないかな。
ないよ!何にも悩んでない!
嘘だ!
Jesus. Even though I was running, even though Reina was walking, why wasn't I getting any farther away?
わかるよ。わかる。レナはわかるよ。怖いんだよね、圭一くん。
怖くなんかない!何も怖いことなんか!
嘘だ!
Oh my god. My breathing grew heavy, and it felt like my legs were giving out from beneath me. Reina wasn't even breaking a sweat.
レナだけは相談に乗ってあげられるよ。今度こそ乗ってあげられる。
I had no idea what she was talking about or what exactly she wanted to do.
今度こそ相談に乗ってあげられる。サトシくんの時とは違うもの。
Huh? When she said Satoshi's name, I turned back for a moment. But even as I did that, Reina was still advancing. I couldn't afford to stop.
サトシくんも悩んでた。辛そうだった。でもレナは相談に乗ってあげられなかった。とても悲しかった。
Where did the street connect to? All these twists and turns, up and downs. It was hard to believe that this was even remotely in the direction towards my house. My sense of direction had long gone since out the window.
サトシくんが転校しちゃった時ね、本当に後悔したんだよ。レナが相談に乗ってあげれば、サトシくんは転校せずに済んだかもしれないって。すごく後悔した。
The road led me deeper into the forest. Wasn't I getting farther away from the village the more I ran? I lost more and more of my composure the more I thought about it. But despite this realization, my inner self was disturbingly calm.
だからね、誓ったの。 もしもサトシくんみたいに苦しんでる人にもう一度会えたなら、レナが助けてあげようって。もう人が転校するところは見たくないな。
Damn it! What does transfer even mean? I won't let you transfer me. I won't end up the same as Satoshi!
さあ、ケイチくん、レナに話して。レナはきっと、ケイチくんを理解してあげられるよ。レナだけは、ケイチくんの味方。
Yeah, no. I started wheezing out of breath. My lungs were so hot that they felt like they were going to explode. My heart was beating as hard as it possibly could. I should have practiced running instead of my swing. I couldn't even afford to scoff at that stupid thought.
悩みがなくなれば、きっとケイチくんも元通り。みんなとも仲良しに戻れて、また楽しく部活ができるよ。今度は一緒に組んで、みーちゃんをやっつけようね。
Yeah, how much fun that would be. Raina couldn't even imagine how much I wished I could turn back the clock on these past few days.
レナともきっと仲良しに戻れるよ。また一緒に宝探しに行きたいね。今度はお弁当も作っていくよ。なんなら今から宝探しでもいいよ。行こうよ、一緒にダム現場。見つけたばかりの可愛いの、ケイチくんにも見せてあげるね。きっとケイチくんも気に入るよ。
My footsteps made pathetic flapping sounds as my legs wobbled and faltered. Hot on my heels, Raina's steps were sharply breaking twigs underfoot. I had to accept it. I was on the run, being chased by Raina. If she caught me, it was all over. I realized it instinctively. Couldn't even begin to think of what the end would entail. Just that if I was caught, it was all over. That's all I knew. It didn't matter how long it was going to end. I wouldn't let it end. Not without knowing anything. Not yet. That momentary lapse was all it took. Of all the things that could have happened, my knees buckled underneath me and I crumbled towards the ground. Oh, God! I tried to stand frantically, urging my legs to respond. I used my bat as a makeshift cane to prop myself up, but Raina was already standing in front of me. Fuck. Compared to me, out of breath and utterly exhausted, Raina was so cool and composed that she could have froze the air around her. She wasn't breathing hard at all. Rather, I couldn't even sense if her heart was beating.
何が怖いのかな。怯えるなんてケイチくんらしくないよ。
Her expression looked almost affectionate. Those soulless eyes, that mask of affection. As she admonished me for trembling, Rena's hands deftly slipped over her head. The blur of arms as they moved made me feel as if I was staring at the godliness of the thousand-armed Buddha. Then as both her hands met above her head, the hatchet that she held came into focus. I stared up at it in disbelief. It was all I could do.
教えてくれ。サトシは、どうなったんだよ。
Raina stayed like that, with that hatchet raised above her head, and solemnly opened her mouth. It was as if she was expressing a farewell to a friend she was never to see again. That cruel scenario resided somewhere in her actions.
言ったよ。サトシくんは転校したの。
その転校ってのをやめろよ。 鬼隠しってことなんだろ？そうだろ？もう教えてくれたっていいだろ？サトシを消したのは誰だよ？レナか？ミオンか？それとも村の誰かが？答えろよ！
I became frantic. The more I screamed, but Reina did nothing but maintain the smile frozen on her face.
ケイチ君が何を言ってるか、わからないな。
じゃあわかるように言ってやる！連続開始事件の犯人は誰だ？
ケイチ君は勘違いしてるよ。
え？
人間の犯人なんかいない。
Oh.
すべてはお社様が決めることだもの。
お社様のたたりなんて迷信だろ！レナは信じてるってのか？
信じるとか信じないとかじゃない。お社様はいるの。
Reina's gaze grew even more gelid. The ferocity of her stare was so intense, not allowing me to question anything.
お社様なんているわけが。
ケイチ君は信じないの？お社様。
信じられるはずないだろ！そんなのいるわけがない！
いるよ。お社様。ケイチ君だって身近に感じてるはずだよ。
そんなもの感じたことないよ！
ケイチ君さ、誰かに謝られたことない？
Huh?
それもずっと。
Well, you. All noise from the outside world disappeared. Only Reina's voice resounded, loudly and terribly.
それはね、許してもらえるまでずっとついてくるの。学校へも、お家へも、枕元へも。
Couldn't understand what Reina was saying.
レナのところへも来たんだよ。お社様。だからレナは転校して、ひなみ沢に帰ってきたの。
Don't understand. Don't understand. What does transfer even mean? What was Reina saying?
ケイチ君のところにも、お社様、来てるんじゃない？きっと相談に乗れるのは私だけ。ケイチ君を転校なんかさせないから。ね
Reina's demented laughter clanged around inside my head. Was Reina saying Oyashiro-sama came to her as well? That's right. Last night I had heard about that when I asked about Reina.
他言無用でお願いします。また内容には一部憶測も含まれているかもしれません。すべてが真実ではないかもしれないということです。よろしいですね。
Oishi-san began speaking.
被害者も学校も告訴していないので、調書がないのです。つまり、警察が関与してないわけなんですよ。ですから、詳細は関係者からの聞き取りのみなのです。つまり、信憑性が高くない。
被害者って言いましたか？ レナはガラスを割っただけじゃないんですか？
いえ、男子生徒が3人ほどリュウグウレナに殴られています。金属バットでです。2人はあざで済みましたが、1人は片目に後遺症を残すほどの大怪我をしたそうです。
Jesus.
それって傷害事件じゃないんですか？警察は逮捕とかしないんですか？
どういうわけか、被害者が告発しないんですよ。警察に届け出がないので。
They were beaten with a bat and suffered significant injuries. Normally, there would be a criminal investigation. But why didn't they press charges?
被害者の男子生徒3人にもそれぞれ話を聞こうとしましたが、全員口が重いんです。こう言ってはなんですが、怯えてるんですよ。彼女が転校した今でも。
大石さん、話を最初から整理して話してくれませんか
Reina hit people while she broke the windows? Or was it she started breaking the windows after she got bored of hitting people? They sounded similar, but the meanings were drastically different.
某月某日、リュウグウレナは親しい男子生徒3人と一緒にプール倉庫のあたりで話をしていました。
Oh.
その3人って何者ですか？
個人名は伏せますが、3人ともリュウグウレナととても親しい仲良しグループだったそうです。彼女はこう言ってんだったんですな。
So it wasn't that strange that the four of them were together.
それでどうなったんです？
理由はわかりません。リュウグウレナはプール倉庫脇にあった野球部のバットを手に取り、3人を次々に殴り倒しました。
え？
There was no witnesses. This was an account pieced together by the information given at the time of the incident. One day after school, Reina and 3 male students were at the pool storage shed talking together. They weren't seeking help, rather, they were usually met up there. It appears it became a heated discussion. At that time, Reina underwent a change. The change was so abrupt that the 3 of them didn't comprehend what was happening. Then, taking the metal bat, she attacked her friends one after the other. Leaving her friends covered in blood with gashes on their heads, she made her way towards the school building. Then she broke the glass windows one after the other. A few minutes later, a teacher appeared on the scene and subdued her.
レナに起こった変化って何ですか
3人の証言で一致するのは、突然人が変わった。豹変したという点です。
豹変。
I also could recall Reina's transformation. I'd seen that change many times before. It was so different from the usual Reina that I couldn't help but believe it was someone else who looked like Reina.
その豹変っていうのはたびたびあったことなんですか？
いえ、そういうのは全くなかったそうです。私も調べられる限り、彼女の過去や病歴等を追ってみましたが、見つけることはできませんでした。
そのレナみたいに突然人が変わる現象って結構あるんですか？
もちろんありますよ。精神的なものから性格的なものまでたくさんあります。
では レナには潜在的に表変する要素があったってことですか？
断言はできません。ですが、竜宮レナをよく知る友人たちからの証言では、とても彼女にそういう要素があるようには思えません。
Kind, caring, and adorable. Even before she transferred here, she was probably pretty popular in school like she was now. That girl transforming suddenly and assaulting them with a bat. Who could imagine such a thing? Nobody could have seen it coming. I myself sometimes believe that I was mistaken for thinking that was Reina. Even now.
そして、どうなったんですか？
学校の正面が病院でしたので、3人はすぐに病院に担ぎ込まれ、手当てを受けました。
レナは、警察は、どうして警察沙汰にならなかったんですか？
警察は呼ばれなければ関与はできませんからね。
一人は後遺症を残すくらい大怪我したんじゃないんですか？どうして訴えないんです？
私もそこは引っかかりました。何かの圧力、もしくは脅迫があったのか。それとも、訴えたくても訴えられない理由があったのか。
もちろん大石さんのことですから調べたんですよね。
ねえ、まあ。ですが、初めに言いましたよね。被害者たちの口がとにかく重いのです。触れたがらないというか、関わりたくないというか。
Reluctant to talk. Didn't want to touch it. Didn't want to be involved. It resembled the villagers here in Oriyashiro-sama's curse.
学校の先生とかからは何も聞けなかったんですか？
学校は聖域なんですよ。隠蔽体質とでも言いますか。私も捜査令状を取ってませんから弱いんですよね。
じゃあ、学校側はノーコメント？
いえ、事件の存在自体を否定しました。ですが某日、間違いなく病院に3人の男子生徒が打撲で担ぎ込まれたのは事実なんです。病院にその記録が残ってますので。
被害者は語らず、学校は否定する。何もわからないじゃないですか。
ねえ、その事件があったという事実以上のことは何もわかりません。被害者たちもこの事件が公になることを望んでいませんので、私と前原さん、私たち2人が忘れれば、事件はそのまま闇に消えるでしょうな。
For a brief period, we sat in silence. At first glance, it looked like a simple assault case. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. The depths were obscured by rolling waves, sinking quietly into the void, as if it never existed to begin with.
その後、学校を謹慎で休学します。そしてその間、神経科医のカウンセリングを受けました。
その医者からは何か聞けたんですか？
これがまた職業倫理のしっかりした尊敬すべき方でしてね。口が固いんですよ。もうとにかく。
警察手帳を見せてもダメなんですか？
書面で申請しろと言われました。手帳自体に法的拘束力は何もありませんからね。
じゃあ、大石さんはどうやってレナがお社様のことを告白したことを知ったんですか？
一部を聞いてた看護師さんがいましてね。この方は手帳を見せただけで協力してくださいました。
それで、なんと
Turns out that nurse hadn't heard everything. Apparently, all that she remembered was what she overheard from inside the room.
看護師さんが言うには、その時のリュウグウレナはとても淡々としていて、落ち着いていたそうです。
It was more like she was confessing her sins at a church than a counseling session. She spoke with her mother there for some of it, but partway through, her mother was asked to leave, so it became a private counseling session between just the doctor and Reina for a while.
例のお社様の話はどこで出てきたんですか？
途中です。その名前を突然叫んだのです。だから看護師さんもびっくりして聞き耳を立てたのです。
お社様です。
Reina suddenly shouted that. I had no idea what she said before that, so I had no idea what the meaning behind it could have been. The doctor calmly and collectedly asked Reina to have a seat.
そのお社様というのは何ですか？
Gently, ever so gently. Fundamental part of counseling is to be a good patient listener.
ひなみ沢を捨てた人は必ずお社様に追われるんです。そしてとうとう私のところにも来たんです。
竜宮さんが今のお家に引っ越される前に住んでいた町ですね。
私は引っ越したくなかったけど、お母さんとお父さんの都合で仕方なく引っ越しました。でもお社様は許してくれなかったんです。
竜宮さんはきっとひなみ沢にもお友達がたくさんいたんでしょうね。今でも懐かしいんじゃないですか？
帰りたい。ひなみ沢に帰りたい。帰りたいんじゃない。帰らなきゃいけない。本当はもっと早くに帰らなきゃいけなかった。でももうダメ。お社様が来てしまった。
お社様というのはそのひなみ沢の神様なんですね。
誰でも知ってるひなみ沢の守り神様なんです。それでひなみ沢を捨てて出て行こうとすると罰を当てるんです。
竜宮さんが引っ越しをされたのはもうずいぶん前ですよね。では今になってその神様がやってきたということですか？
信じないでしょうけど、お社様はいるんです。
That nurse was then asked by another nurse to do something and left the room. That was all she remembered.
お社様がか。
確かにひなみ沢にはそういう迷信があります。里を捨てて出ていくとお社様の罰が当たるという。このあたりは前原さんもすでにご存知ですよね。
Knew very well what those scorned by the village incurred. To hinder the dam construction project, they cursed the construction foreman to his death. Then the following years, Toko's parents, supporters, and leading advocates of the dam were cursed to their death. But this is the first time I've heard of the curse incurred by leaving the village.
初耳です。村の外敵がたたられるのはわかりますが、どうして出ていく村人まで？普通、 出ていくものはたたられないものじゃないんですか？
I know it's a bit strange to say it, but I could see it as a rule that people who come in are the ones who would be cursed. Far from Jupiter, far from his thunder. Curses weren't something to chase after people that leave, were they? Oishi-san pondered for a bit over on the other end of the receiver, then began speaking again.
ひなみ沢が大昔鬼ヶ淵と呼ばれていたという話はしましたよね。
I recalled hearing that. Long ago, Hinamizawa was feared and respected as the village of demons.
ふもとの村人たちは鬼たちを崇めていました。で、鬼ヶ淵は神聖な土地なので絶対に不可侵。むやみに立ち入るとお社様のたたりがあるとされてきたんです。
Those who set foot in Onigafuchi, in other words, Hinamizawa, would be cursed. I can understand that.
それはわかります。でも、出ていくのまでダメってのは。
鬼たちもまたですね。俗世に出ていかないようお社様に厳しく見張られていたんだとか。つまりお社様ってのは俗世と鬼ヶ淵の交流を禁じていたんでしょうな。
I see. Finally understood what sort of thing Oyashiro-sama was.
つまり、お社様ってのは、守り神ってよりも、監視者なんですね。この地を外界から隔離しようとする。
そんな感じになるんでしょうな。すみません。私も詳しくないんです。この辺りはばあ様の受け売りでして。
I could understand it a bit better if it was like that. Those who came to Hinamizawa would be cursed, and those who tried to leave would also be cursed. So, because Reina originally lived in Hinamizawa and moved away, she fulfilled the requirements for being cursed.
つまり、レナは望まない引っ越しをしたため、お社様のたたりにあったと、そう話しているわけですか？
要約すると、そういう意味なんでしょうな。実際、この後しばらくしてひなみ沢に引っ越していますから。
Those who abandoned Hinamizawa and left were cursed. But then, why only Reina? Shouldn't Reina's parents also have been guilty of the same transgression by moving away and had been cursed? Also, in this day and age in Japan, shouldn't there be a lot of people coming and going? If every single one of them was cursed, then it'd be insane. But in reality, it wasn't that big of a deal at all. At most, there would be one person dying and one disappearing on the day of the Watanagashi. I don't like saying at most, though.
まあ、とにかく、わからないことだらけなんですよ。お社様のたたりがどうだったにせよ、クラスメートを金属バットで殴った理由にはなりませんし、被害者が訴えない理由にもなりません。まさか、前原さんも恐ろしいたたりが起こって、被害者たちがすくみ上がった、なんてこと、信じるわけないですよね。
Of course, I didn't want to believe it. But, more importantly, I had just realized something else. There was another bizarre connection that Reina had made between Oyashiro-sama's curse and metal bats. Satoshi fell victim to Oyashiro-sama's curse and went missing. I had recently learned that Satoshi had also become infatuated with the metal bat right before he disappeared, just like me. Then Reina, as well, She was affected by Oyashiro-sama's curse, and she confessed that much to the doctor. And the weapon which she had used at the time of that horrendous act was, again, a metal bat. And finally, me. I'd encountered various things that were inexplicable, and now I was holding on to a metal bat. I was shocked when I learned that Satoshi did the same thing. It couldn't be. Had the same thing happened to Reina? There was one critical difference between her and Satoshi's case. That being, Satoshi went missing after falling victim to the curse, but Reina was still here. Both of them had fallen victim to Oyashiro-sama's curse, yet they were met with different endings. And finally, me. I couldn't call it a coincidence anymore. Reina, Satoshi, and finally, me. Could it be that I was really under Oyashiro-sama's curse right now? No. More importantly than that, what should I do now? Satoshi had been demoned away, vanishing without a trace. Reina was fine. Fine? Reina had undergone a change. I could only believe that there was something that wasn't Reina residing within her. And here right now, it was standing before me!
Lena, 教えてくれ。俺はどうなるんだよ。
Reina stood imposingly, not answering.
サトシは消えた。だけどレナは消えなかった。じゃあ俺はどうなるんだよ。
I had never heard such an unpleasant laugh before. It had become akin to the sound of her breathing. It was no longer a voice or an expression of feeling.
大丈夫だよ。レナが助けてあげるから。
Reina took one step forward, still holding the hatchet high above her head.
さあ、
No, 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 no. One step closer, Reina's face spread out to fill my vision.
話して。
One step closer. Reina's nose was close enough to touch mine, and was still pushing closer.
話したいことがあるんだよね。レナが聞いてあげる。
We've been trying to talk to you!
助けてあげるから。ね。話してね。話してね。
I slumped down, landing squarely on my butt. It wasn't for some pathetic reason. It was all I could do to get as far away from Reina. I had the gut feeling that I couldn't let her laughter end. Because when that laughing ended... No. The moment I picked up on that feeling, my body moved by instinct. I sprang to my feet so fast even I couldn't believe it, and pushed Reina away with both hands. Reina was as light as a feather. Thrown about by the unbalanced weight of the hatchet, she was sent backwards as if she had been carried off by the wind. After confirming that out of the corner of my eye, I dashed off at full speed. Okay, good shit, Keiichi. That was the perfect picture of fleeing like a greased pig. Get away from Reina. Run away. Survive! I couldn't think of anything other than this. While I was running, I remembered I'd been holding on to a bat the entire time. Such a worthless weapon. I couldn't believe I'd forgotten about this weapon at such an important time. I sped even farther down the winding path. I didn't even feel myself gasping for breath or my legs getting heavy. My body understood it as well. If it didn't run away from here, I wouldn't live. I could hear the laughter of that simulacrum of Reyna coming from behind me. It rang through the trees and in my head, and slowly chiseled away at my sanity. The grove of the trees thinned out, my field of vision suddenly expanding. Where was this? For a moment, I was bewildered by the scenery I felt I knew, but couldn't quite remember. I quickly realized it was the dam site. The fact that I dashed madly and ended up in a place like this gave me a bad feeling, like I was following someone's scripted plot. I had a good view of my surroundings, but I didn't see a single soul here. This was a terrible spot for someone on the run, but there was no better place for an attacker. My heart was already on the verge of bursting. The muscles in my legs were screaming, but I didn't care. If I stopped here, then I might not even be able to scream for much longer. Even still, I glanced back looking for an excuse to rest. Reyna wasn't there. Instead, I saw two villagers walking around. I breathed a sigh of relief that it wasn't Reyna, but a third party. Except the voice inside me rang the alarm bell once again. Villagers walking around weren't suspicious in and of themselves, but it bothered me. They both wore rough-looking clothes. Empty-handed, they definitely gave the impression that they were just out for a walk. But this time of day, two adults wandering around without a purpose, it was enough to raise questions. Oh my god. More than anything else, those eyes. They weren't chit-chatting while walking. They were both silent, heading forward, looking in my direction. Was I at the end of my rope, and had finally started imagining things? I should run away. That was probably the best choice. If they weren't involved, I'd lose them easily by running. If they were part of the group after me, then they would come running after me. Either way, once I hurried up, Reyna would catch up with me. That's right, I was going to run. Deciding that, the moment I began to turn tail, both of them rushed towards me, as if they knew exactly what I was thinking. Somewhere inside me, I had jumped to the conclusion that Reyna was the only thing I needed to be afraid of. I made the assumption that I didn't need to fear anything else. Right now, I realized just how blatantly wrong I was. Suddenly, the story Oishi-san told me about the demons all leaving the village to hunt prey floated through the back of my mind. I could tell they were both coming after me, without even turning around because of their frantic footsteps. It was frightening, being unable to shake Reyna off as she slowly closed in on me, but this didn't even compare. Being pursued with such violent ferocity, this straightforward horror was unparalleled. One of the pursuers' arms grazed my shoulder. Now it wasn't just their frenzied footsteps, but also the distinct sound of their breathing that I could hear. No, I could practically feel them breathing on me. They were already right behind me. Calm down, Keiichi. Still running at full tilt, I felt the surrounding area go still. No, it felt like time itself had stopped. I turned my head back slightly in that frozen world, realizing how close my pursuers had gotten to me. I couldn't win against the legs of an adult. In less than the time it would take to blink twice when this frozen time began moving again, they'd be right on top of me. On top of me, and then? Don't think about that, Keiichi. First, realize that you won't be able to shake them off like this. If the fact that you can't get away was a given, then you need to make a decision. Go with the right leg, or go with the left. You just need to decide which one. Let's go with the left. The moment I decided that, the temporal singularity burst into pieces. Right. Left! I swung the bat in a wide arc with my right arm. Using that inertia, I stopped and suddenly spun.
No!
Two of them were clearly startled. Momentarily losing sight of me, both of their outstretched arms ready to grab me, instead grasped at empty space. The man on the right, I applaud him being able to figure it out, spun around to the spot I shouldn't have been, and faced me in an astonishment. But it was too late. I didn't even need to swing my bat. All I needed to do was extend my arms as I turned around. It was by no means a heavy blow, but it seemed like it had enough power behind it to knock him off his feet. But just knocking him down wasn't enough to scare him away. He got back up in no time. Both of them took a fighting stance and were ready to face me. This made me certain they weren't just two people out for a walk. They were clearly after me. It felt much easier than dealing with Reina. Just by not recognizing their faces, by not knowing them, it made things easier. I smiled wryly on the inside.
俺に何か用かよ。次は眉間にお見舞いするぞ、この野郎。
It's fine if it was just a bluff. By barking out at them, I was able to fire myself up. They didn't respond. They spread out to either side of me with unbelievably calm expressions on their faces. Like, "Hey Lithic, thanks for the lurk." One of them would grab onto my bat, and the other one would hold me down. Is that their plan? Taking on both of them at once would be impossible. Hot sweat poured from every pore in my body. Then I'd just have to settle it with the first move. I'd step in and strike the first one down. Narrowing my target down to the man on the right who had already been knocked down before, I stepped in and swung with all my might. There was no way for an unarmed person to guard against it. It would cause immense damage. If they blocked it with their arm, their bone would snap like a twig. If they turned their back to it, then it was possible that the blow would travel all the way to their vital organs. It looked like he was aware of this. He pushed farther through the kill zone between us and delivered a fist right into my gut. Not good. This distance, in this position, in this state, there was no way for me to dodge it. The world flipped upside down. I understood that I was being tossed around like a rag doll. I landed on the soft earth with a sound feeling. The grainy soil pressed against my face. Didn't hurt at all. But the moment I thought that, I suddenly felt pain coming from the abrasions on my skin, as well as the contents of my stomach being forced upward, flooding my mouth with a bitter sensation. Jesus. I knew very well that I didn't have the time to relish this experience. I stood up as quickly as I could, but at that moment, the other man was already barreling towards me. Being able to comprehend calmly that I simply couldn't dodge it made it all the more upsetting. After plowing into my stomach full force once again, my assailant twisted around behind me and locked his thick arm around my neck. My throat felt like it was being crushed by his immense strength. I couldn't even contemplate that I was being strangled, or that I was about to go unconscious. We really going out like this? Man. My vision simply darkened, and a silent whining noise began playing deep inside my mind. It took everything I had to keep myself from blacking out. While this was happening, the other man was more than likely standing in front of me. I wasn't able to open my eyes, but I could feel that he was there. There was nothing I could do now. Unable to shake this arm off me, I couldn't run. I couldn't fight back. Dire straits. I couldn't even come up with a phrase that adequately described my situation. Damn, dude. Just like that, huh? Where are we now? A familiar ceiling. The smell of the bed and pillows. I knew them well. Was this my room? Normally there wouldn't be anyone in my room besides me, but their presence made me spring awake. When I did that, pain shot throughout my entire body. Oh my
大
god.
丈夫かな？横になってた方がいいと思うよ。
Why the fuck are y'all in my room? I was Reina in my room. Blood began to surge through my muscles and my capillaries. But Reina's smile belonged to the Reina I knew well. I knew I shouldn't let myself feel this way, but I relaxed thinking that this version of Reina was safe.
俺は、どうして？
覚えてないの？
意識がなくなってからのことは、全然。
My body had become more lethargic than I could have imagined. Guess that would be the expected outcome after exerting everything I had back there. I tried to at least clear my head, but just couldn't shake the sluggish feeling out of my mind.
一応お医者さんにも電話したから、もうすぐ来ると思うよ。それまで横になってた方がいいと思うな。
I wasn't injured, seriously enough to merit calling a doctor. But knowing that someone impartial was coming was slightly reassuring.
俺、どうしてここにいるんだ？確か、ダム現場で。
それはレナが聞きたいな。何があったのかな？レナが行った時には、ケイチくん倒れてて。
だから、聞きたいのは俺の方だよ。変な二人組に襲われて。
As I talked about it, I finally remembered what happened right before I passed out. Recalling that memory and the terror that went along with it caused the fogginess around my head to clear right up. Let's forget about those two for now. I didn't expect Reina to be nursing me. I thought Reina was trying to kill me. She'd have had the perfect chance while I was unconscious. Not only did she not kill me, she had nursed me back to health.
よく俺を引きずってここまで来れたな。重かったろ。
Looking at Reina's delicate frame, it was hard to believe that she had not only gotten me back home, but even dragged me all the way up to the second floor. Did she have some help?
ケイチくん、覚えてないの？
Reina appeared a bit surprised, but still kept her smile.
レナは、ケイチくんに肩を貸しただけだよ。大丈夫、自分で歩けるってケイチくんが。
Huh?
覚えてない？
I didn't remember. My memory was fuzzy after that point where I lost consciousness.
二人組はどうした？レナが来た時、俺と一緒に、あるいはそばに二人組の男が。
いなかったよ。
She said it bluntly. The way she stated it felt slightly unpleasant. I was just too timid at that time. I might have been able to force some answers out of Reina. But if I did that, this kind Reina might transform into the scary Reina, who I didn't know. Feeling that, I didn't press any further. Thinking about it, It was the obvious choice. If both of those men were there, I don't think Reina would have even stood a chance. I couldn't find a way to explain it unless I assumed she brought me here after those two were already gone. Reina was still smiling. Her eyes sparkled warmly. Yet, it felt like I was hallucinating when I saw something. Something akin to a shadow slowly creeping across her face. That small omen sent shivers down my spine. While Reina was still Reina, I needed to make contact. I needed to contact Oishi-san. Reina stopped me when I tried to get out of bed. She said it would aggravate my wound, so I should sleep.
トイレに行きたいんだけどな。
ごめん。
Reina couldn't say anything else. While Reina stayed in the room, I quickly went downstairs to get the phone receiver in the living room. When I approached the front door, the doorbell rang. It must have been the doctor Reina had called. It was strange for a patient to welcome in the doctor who was making a house call, but it would be incredibly reassuring to have him here for the considerable time it would take Oishi-san to get here. I carelessly opened the door with that simple assumption, and regretted it almost immediately. Uh-oh.
ミオン。
あれ？元気そうだね。倒れてたって言うから様子見に来たんだけど。
なんで俺が倒れてたって知ってるんだよ。
レナが電話してきたから。他に理由が必要？
I understood why she would call a doctor. But why Mion too? Reina was descending the stairs behind me.
レナ、ケイちゃん大丈夫そうだよ。ったく、心配して損した。
そうだね。レナも心配して損したかな。
They both began laughing. It appeared to be cheerful laughter, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a darkness looming over them.
うわ、なにこの下駄箱。どうしてたの？
The shoe rack that had smashed to pieces had been like that since yesterday.
転んでさ。その拍子に持ってたバットで叩いちゃったんだよ。
持ち慣れないもん振り回してるからこういうことになるんだよ。
I kept the fact that it was none of her business to myself.
でもこれじゃ、おばさまたちが帰ってきたらびっくりしちゃうね。後でレナが片付けておくね。
さあ、ほらケイちゃん。重病人なんだからちゃんと寝てないとダメだよ。さあさあ、お布団に戻った。
Both of them urged me up the stairs. I had no chance to call Oishi-san. I was pushed into my bed. As it was the first time Mion had been in my room, she began searching around intently. She fiddled around my room and was scolded by Reina. You can imagine how it went. It was uncomfortable having my room poked around, but the conversation was so benign that it was heartwarming. During that innocent conversation, Mion said something as though it was perfectly ordinary.
レナ、監督には電話した？
うん。みーちゃんに電話した後すぐにね。
The rector.
すぐ来るって言ってたよ。
Director? That out-of-place word gave me a bad feeling. Reina called the doctor, then called me on, and after that she called the director? Who is this director? Since Reina and Mion's conversation was so peaceful, it only felt slightly odd.
二人とも何の話をしてるんだよ。監督ってなんだよ。
ケイちゃん知んないの？監督って言ったら監督だよ。
Oh, okay.
映画の監督とか、
Huh?
工事現場の監督とか。
Oh yeah, we're dead. I dug through all my memories for a director who might have business with me. Only one thing came to mind. What Reina had just said. Construction site foreman. The very first victim of the first incident. The dismemberment at the dam construction site. The foreman? That was strange. He was supposed to be dead. There's no way they could call him.
お前らが何の話をしてるのかわからないよ。その監督が俺と何か関係あるのか？来るって言ったけど、うちに来るのか？
I asked one obvious question after another. But all the two of them did was smile coolly at each other. There was a huge difference between how the two of them appeared and how my suspicions were playing out. Slowly, I felt discomfort and panic welling up inside me. I couldn't understand what Reina and Mion were talking about.
ケイちゃん、最近は野球に凝ってるんだよね。監督、それ聞いたら喜ぶと思うな。
だから、監督って誰だよ。
監督は監督さんだよ。
だから、監督って誰だよ。
Jesus. Reina and Mion looked at each other and laughed haughtily. A disturbing cackle unpleasantly resounded around me. That laugh, long enough to be unsettling, ended abruptly.
そうだ。監督が来る前に済ませとくかな。ケイちゃん、覚えてるかい？
Her face was laughing, but Mion's eyes told a different story.
覚えてるって何をだよ。
ケイチくん忘れちゃったのかな。罰ゲームなんだよ。
Oh no!
罰ゲームなんだよ。
Well!
忘れちゃったのかな。おはぎの宿題。どれがレナの作ったおはぎかを当てる宿題。
Well.
あれ、確か宿題忘れだったよね。
I certainly did have that homework, but I had thrown away the rest of the mochi after I found that sewing needle. I wasn't able to answer which one Reina made. Penalty for that? Why now? No doubt my question was written all over my face. Their answer to my question was that dry laughter. I could no longer make heads or tails of anything. I began to think that this entire day was somehow insane. Strange. Incomprehensible. Being chased by Reina, attacked by strange men, the penalty Mion and Reina were talking about. Good lord, man. This is so friggin' unsettling. What were these two laughing at? It didn't take that long for me to realize I had been dragged into an abnormal situation. Who were these two? Who were these people? Who were these doppelgangers of Reina and Mion? Reina had gotten behind me at some point. Why was she pinning my arms behind my back?
何の真似だよ。
動かないでね。罰ゲームだから。
My body was already very sluggish, and Reina pinning my arms made it that much harder to move. I seriously tried to struggle, but she wouldn't even budge. My panic began to well up, and I realized this was well beyond the realm of jokes and pleasantries. This freakishly monstrous strength would have been impossible for the Reina that I knew. Then, these thin, frail arms grasping me firmly. Whose arms were they?
ケイちゃん、抵抗しちゃダメだよ。快速大、何錠でもいいや。罰ゲームに抵抗しちゃダメなんだからさ。
Mion? No. That thing that looked like Mion spoke to me like how Mion would speak to me. But I was certain it was not Mion. Someone who wasn't Mion. Someone who was just pretending to be Mion.
監督が来る前に済まさないとね。
Mion fished into her pockets and pulled out something bizarre. I could tell what it was just by looking, but for such a thing to be in her pocket, my mind wouldn't accept it.
なんだよ、それ。
It was a small syringe. Uh-oh! It was a small, clear syringe, the kind a doctor might use if you went to them for a high fever. Reina held me even tighter, and I could hear that clattering laughter that no longer sounded like laughter blaring into my ear. That eerie laughter wasn't something that the Reina I knew could ever produce from her own throat. This thing that was pretending to be Reina, was that their real life? Unable to defend myself, the syringe Mion was holding drew closer, and that needle tip was waved in front of my face countless times.
大丈夫、大丈夫。痛くないから、痛くないから。
何をする気だよ。これは一体何の真似だよ。
ケイちゃん、何言ってんだか。わかってんでしょ。
何が？俺には何が何やらさっぱりわからねえよ。
知ってるくせに。今さらかまととぶられてもな。
わけのわからないことを言って俺を煙に巻くのはやめろ。
富武さんと同じ目に遭ってもらう。
Oh no. Same as Tomitake-san? I really didn't understand what she meant. What did she have to do with this syringe?
ケイチくん、とぼけてるね。うすうすは気づいてたくせに。
Reina whispered in my ear, laughing as if to admonish me. But even the way she spoke was repulsive beyond compare. Playing dumb? Me? About what? What do you mean? Same as Tomitake-san.
みんなはじめはひき逃げされたものだと思っていました。ですが、意識を確かめるために近づいた警官はすぐに異常に気づきました。喉がね、引き裂かれていたんですよ。
ナイフとか？
ええ、爪でした。
Nails? Nails as in fingernails? With those gouged through? That's right. Tomitake-san had clawed out his own throat with his own nails and died. There's no way someone could die like that. So then, for that to happen...
薬物を疑いましたが、そういう類のものは検出できませんでした。
Yep. That's right. The police didn't find any drugs in Tomitake-san's system. I see.
警察は、富武さんの遺体から薬物は検出できなかったって言ったぞ。
We're about to be killed. Quay. The two of them laughed together, with that sickening laughter. Reina and Mion. Of course they'd laugh. To assume that such a medicine didn't exist just because the police didn't know about it was completely foolish. Mion, the green-haired girl, Mion, meaning the drug that caused Tomitake-san to die in such a bizarre manner did exist. If Mion injected this into me, then that would probably be all the proof I needed. I don't know where she is. I don't know where Satoko is either. That would basically mean I'd end up at the same as Tomitake-san. Become hysterical, scratching at my throat in my last moments, then die. For such an outrageous drug to exist. For Mion to be holding it. And that I was about to be injected with it. That moment, I did not feel that there was any need whatsoever to question it. Kind of idiot. He's trying to dodge a ball flying straight for his face, has time to think of a reason as to why it's flying at him.
観念しなって。んじゃ。
Mion's actions lacked any gravitas, and that made it even more terrifying. There was none of the ceremony like when someone was sentenced to death. There was no hesitation at all, as if she was brushing her teeth. Mion reached out and with one hand grabbed onto my chest. It felt like electricity had run through the back of my head, and the eternal world had gone dark. Did I stand up too fast? Or did something hit me really hard in the back of the head? Having lost my sense of balance, I was assaulted by a wave of dizziness. We're really having a scene change right here? I squatted down for a bit. When I came back to my senses, my entire room had changed drastically. The numbness in my head was gone. Slowly, I could tell blood was flowing to my extremities again. How long had I been squatting here? How many minutes? Or has it been hours? It was almost as if the hands on the clock had stopped moving the entire time my eyes were closed. That's how little time passed. Really? The air in the room wasn't filled with that madness from before. Only a dull silence. Reina wasn't there pinning my arms, and Mion wasn't there about to inject me with a needle. No way. Could it be? All of it was a hallucination? There was no other presence in the room besides my own. It was the weirdest experience I've ever had. I was certainly with Reina and Mion. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but I was also seized with some sort of comfort. I guess that terrible ordeal was a hallucination. Neither Reina nor Mion. They would never do something so terrible. My head grew hot. I could tell my emotions were welling up. Why? It wasn't a reason to cry. Why? It was sorrow. Why was I sad? I don't understand. I don't understand. Kind to everyone, not discriminating against age or gender. Mion. That Mion was sprawled by the window in an unnatural pose. Huh? Blood stained her a deep red from her head down to her chest. Huh? Bright crimson smeared on the walls. That splatter had undoubtedly come from Mion. She always had that bright smile and was kind to me from the day I transferred. Reina. That same Reina was slumped at my feet and was making the same pool of blood as me. What the fuck happened? Are they dead? I couldn't comprehend what had happened. Did someone come to save me? Then they beat these two down? With this metal bat? I finally noticed the weight in my right hand. How long had it been there? It was Satoshi's metal bat. It was covered in a deep red. There was no doubt that this was the weapon used to mutilate both of them. And I was holding that weapon. I was the only person in the house. Looking at this objectively, I couldn't think of anyone other than myself who could have done it.
俺が、やったのか?
What the fuck happened? That's right. Keiichi Maibara. Of course I did it. I told myself gently, as if coaxing myself. Hey, me. There's no reason for you to remember it, nor is there a need to regret it. Eat or be eaten. You get that, don't you?
でも、血が、こんなに。
Neither Reina nor Mion had moved an inch. It wasn't just a split forehead and a trickle of blood. Nothing that simple. The entire room was splattered with red, and that told me it didn't end with just the 2 or 3 strikes.
死んじまったのか? 二人とも。
The depths of my mind were calm, but on the surface I was panicking and agitated. Calm down, Keiichi. What happened to your usual calm self? Come on now. You do like you always do. Throw your head back and take a deep breath. Come on. Once. Twice. Breathe deeply. Calm down. Calm down. I chanted that over and over in my head and relaxed. Color came back to my vision, and smells reinfused the air. At the same time, I remembered what happened when I blacked out. Reina and Mion had attacked me. They were about to inject me with whatever caused the same symptoms as Tomitake-san. But right before that happened, I fought back. I twisted my whole body and threw Reina as she was pinning my arms. Then I followed through with my spin and rammed my foot as hard as I could into Mion's torso. Good shit, Keiichi! It was soft. Reina tried jumping on me, so I tackled her as hard as I could and slammed her against the wall. I didn't let that brief moment of having them off balance slip by. Satoshi's bat that was left carelessly by the side of my desk. Weep. At that moment, everything went pitch black. There was nothing recorded past this point in the videotape of my mind. No, that wasn't right. It wasn't that there was nothing recorded. It was recorded just fine. Just the other me inside myself had told me not to look and had turned off the TV. Just because the screen had gone black and I couldn't see it didn't mean that the videotape within me hadn't recorded it. The TV was just off. The video was still playing. The tape within me, creaking along, still playing. On the other end of the pitch black screen, that horrifying video was still playing on. Compared to this, though, the scene right before my eyes, was still too difficult to take in. There's blood splattered everywhere, on the walls, the two of them in these unnatural poses. Not a sign of movement from them. I couldn't even tell if they were breathing. No matter what the circumstances were, my friends, these girls, I had attacked them. I may have even killed them. But if I hadn't done this, I would have been the one done for. Balancing that out on an imaginary scale, it felt odd that I'd even felt bad about it. Even if it was a bit excessive, this was justifiable self-defense. The proof was all here. Two of them collapsed here, and Mion's syringe. Mion's syringe, filled with some unknown drug, would certainly solve the mystery surrounding the incident with Tomitake-san. And from the fact that both of these two were involved, they'd be able to pick up on the criminals one after the other. Still, I might be suspected for this. But that was just fine. Anyway, now this should be a police affair. This wouldn't fade into darkness like Reina's past incidents. As long as the police were involved, that should bring this to a close. They'll probably revisit their investigation on the chain of incidents. Oishi-san would definitely get to the bottom of it. Meaning, my wish of not wanting to die, of wanting to know the truth, that would be fulfilled in its most basic form. It was all a matter of time now. The Dr. Reina called should be getting here soon. I'll confess everything to him. I needed to contact Oishi-san. At that moment, I remembered. Besides the doctor, a director had been called. It was easy to imagine that they were someone deeply involved with the incidents, judging from Reina and Mion's conversation. The ache in my chest, caused by the gruesome deed I'd done, dissipated rapidly. It was not over yet. This place is no longer safe. Stay calm, Keiichi. It's not over yet. I needed to live long enough to tell the police of this incident. At that moment, I felt like I heard someone's voice from outside. Since people were speaking, it must mean there was more than one person. I moved the curtain ever so slightly and peered outside. It was a bizarre sight. About 4 or 5 grown men were all gathered at the gate. They very much resembled the 2 men who had assaulted me at the dam site today. Those 2 might even be among them. There was one person there wearing a white coat, but he didn't look like a doctor at all. My gut told me he was in disguise, only posing as a doctor. That guy would probably ring the bell and get me to open the front door. Pretend to be a doctor and get me to open the door, and then the rest of them would all rush in at once. At that moment, I saw the car parked behind the men, and my heart nearly skipped a beat. The white van! No mistaking it. That van. The one that tried to run me down. The man in the white coat entered the gate and headed towards the front door. The rest of the men hid in the bushes and watched him. I probably couldn't pretend I wasn't home. Undoubtedly, they'd just break through the window and enter. I needed to get out of there somehow. Then use a public phone to contact Oishi-san. Then meet up somewhere. First of all, I need a weapon. Then shoes. But before all that, there was one thing that I had to do. I had no intention of dying. I'd live, and reveal the truth about this nonsensical curse of Oyashiro-sama. But what would happen from here on, regardless of how determined I was, may bring about my demise. And that was why. There was one thing more important than getting out of here right now. I need to get that clock out quickly and take down the note hidden beneath it. Damn it! The tape was sticking to it fast. It'd be fine if it was torn a little. I opened up the slightly torn note and began writing another passage with a ballpoint pen. If I wasn't able to inform Oishi-san, then the only thing I could rely on was this note. Never thought a piece of torn college-ruled notebook paper could be this reliable before. I had no time. I'd only write what I knew right now. I needed to leave some sort of information that would lead them to uncover the truth. Reina and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. This was an undeniable fact. I still didn't want to believe it, but it was a fact. Anyway, I'd leave all the information that would help them lead to finding the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They all had a white van. This was everything I was able to see from the window. There may be more. Also, there was that unidentified person known as the director. To begin with, the term director didn't even mesh with Hinamizawa at all. If they were going to include the director from the past incidents, And the only one is the construction foreman, the victim from the first murder. The very first victim in the chain of incidents. Killed in a lynching, his body divided into 6 pieces. His right arm was never discovered. The police should have confirmed that death, but Reina and Mion did both call him Director. He said Director. They wouldn't use that term to refer to someone who was dead. Police would never even conceive that someone who was deceased could be involved. Could that be some sort of oversight? I didn't know. But even if I didn't know, it could be a big hint for Oishi-san. That's right. They needed to start fresh from the first incident. It wasn't just a simple dismemberment, but the start of this string of mysterious deaths would follow. So then, there must be something hidden there. Please reinvestigate the victim from the dismemberment incident. He's alive. His death should have been established after an autopsy. Logically, you would think as much. But was that really the case? Could it have been some sort of ploy that they were able to deceive the police with? Shouldn't jump to conclusions. But he may still be alive. I had no time to ponder that right now. Oh yeah. There's something even more important I need to write. Mitake-san's death was from an unknown drug. That's right. A drug. It was an irreplaceable piece of evidence. No doubt, just by having this, everything would be uncovered. I couldn't just leave that vital clue lying on the floor. This syringe is proof. Writing that down, I stuck the syringe into the back of the clock with plenty of tape. So it was absolutely would not slip out and fall to the floor. Firmly. Firmly! The bell rang. They were here. I couldn't write anymore. But even still, there was one last thing I had to write. I have no idea why it has become like this. They may be the closest thing to the truth out of everything I wrote on this note. If you are reading this, then I am probably already dead. Though you may or may not find my body. If I was going to write out everything that could happen, either dying from the curse, or being demoned away, you who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. With this, my last will and testament was complete. It wasn't certain that I was going to die, but it was my final plea, just in case. I folded the note and stuck it back into the back of the clock, and returned the clock back to its usual spot. I couldn't help but pray. Oishi-san, if something happens to me, I'll leave the rest to you. After that, I gazed down silently at Reina and Mion. This was probably the last time we'd ever see each other. Reina, Mion.
俺、みんなのこと、本当に友達だと思ってたんだぜ。
Damn. But why did it end up like this? Never had any fun in my previous school. I only worried about standardized test scores. About at the school I hoped to get into was where I really wanted to go, or a safety net. That was all I talked about. It was a dull life. The people I called friends were also my rivals in studying, in competitions, in personal records, and standardized test scores. Everyone here taught me how unhealthy that lifestyle was. This month was really fun. Making a fuss over lunch, making a fuss over the club, making a fuss over the festival. Something hot began dripping from my face. Uncontrollable tears. I should have had no obligation to shed tears for them. But they wouldn't stop. Even if they were after my life. Even if they were trying to kill me. Everything that had happened this month, I wouldn't forget it. Or could it be those happy days were all a facade as well? Was it all a trap, meticulously orchestrated up until today, to ensnare me? Could it have been that I had just arbitrarily assumed that they were my friends? That couldn't have been the case. Both Reina and Mion, they really were my friends. Those happy days, there was nothing fake or unclear about them. Someone probably forced them to kill me. Or try to kill me. Or their minds were taken over, possessed by the supernatural entity known as Oyashiro-sama. Regardless, both Reina and Mion, they were the best friends ever. And when they were coming after me, it wasn't of their own volition. But they weren't the kind of people to sell out their friends, no matter what means were employed to force them. And there was no way such a thing as being possessed by Oyashiro-sama could happen in reality. Then, did the real Reina and Mion come after me? What was I thinking? What a silly, dumb idea. Having beaten down both Reina and Mion, I was still debating if they were the real ones or fakes. There was no real or fake. Only the reality that was before me. Reina and Mion were sprawled out at my feet. That was the only truth. I was only trying to twist the facts to my benefit, that I had beaten my friends to death. No matter how I spun it, it wouldn't change reality. Reina and Mion were both dead. It felt like there was a crack in the dam of strange emotions I was holding back. It felt like my calm state, which was nothing more than a bluff, had receded, and in that opening, insanity was leaking out. I killed them. I killed them. Reina and Mion. I killed them. The doorbell rang again. The unrelenting echo pulled me back into a state of composure once again. Didn't have a moment to spare. Quickly, I needed to get away. I didn't want to die. I would uncover everything after that. The identity of whoever or whatever had pushed me this far. Even if I had to drink mud and eat grass, I would survive. I would survive. I would definitely survive. I killed Reina for that very reason. I also killed Mion. I went that far just to keep living. So I can't die. For my sake, and for the sake of the late Reina and Mion, I have to survive. I ran towards the door and grabbed my shoes. The doorbell rang again, as if to urge me on. Behind this single solitary door, they were there. Keeping quiet, I headed towards the kitchen. Headed towards the back door. Before opening the back door, I put my ear to it and checked for people outside. No one? After I put on my shoes, I opened the door slowly so as to not make a sound.
いたぞ裏口だ
A piercing voice echoed out. That voice stabbed through me, setting my hair on end. I had to run. Get out of here, Katie! One after the other, I felt stuff like rationale and intelligence, those things you use when you have time to spare, spill out of me. I didn't feel any pain from the branches scratching my arms and forehead. My autonomously pulsing heart also felt neither fatigue nor pain. My entire being just wished to live. There was nothing else it desired. Probably had no complaints whatsoever. So of course I wouldn't feel fatigue. I just ran. Just recklessly rushing in the direction I was already heading. Even if nobody was chasing after me, I'd still be running like this. There wasn't a thought in my mind about where I was headed. Turning around, I felt a presence right next to me. That presence was, without a doubt, chasing me like my shadow. If I took even one misstep, I'd be devoured. That's what I thought. So I didn't turn around. I didn't stop. I ran. At full speed. Quack, quack, quack. That was the chirping of the Higurashi, telling me it was evening. Trying to tell me something. And then I finally heard it. The wailing cry of the victims who didn't make it. Would I be joining them? Quack, 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 quack. Only the Higurashi knew. They knew everything. They definitely knew. So I ran towards where I could hear more of the Higurashi's chirps. But the farther I ran, the farther away from the chirping had become. I couldn't get near them. Why are you all running away? Was it my fault? Was I the one to blame? Then I'll apologize. I'm sorry. 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 I felt that only the Higurashi knew. Damn, man. A detail I like about this game is that no matter where you are, you always hear the Higurashi, the cicadas. Like, this might be just some ridiculous middle school teacher trying to do an interpretation of a simple sentence, but like, feels almost like the story is being told from their perspective. Like the Higurashi are telling the story. I don't know. The smoking room was filled with a cloud of cigarette smoke. The expensive smoke filter gave off some crackling electric noise, but it didn't seem like it was doing anything at all. Why do smokers have to be shoved so far down this corridor where the sun didn't even reach? I recalled hearing that the tax revenue from tobacco was about a tenth of the municipality's revenue. We were the most heavily taxed members of this municipality, so I really wish they'd show us a little more respect. Wait, is this from Oishi-san? Who the fuck are you? Oh, you're
ど
that
うして
guy.
これがウーマン切りなんすか？街が狭くなっちゃうっすよ。
Oh, we've got to check his sprites then. No sprite, I guess. Just a console sprite. One of the younger detectives was having a staring contest with the Mahjong magazine called Next Turn.
ウーマン切ってもテンパイ崩れませんから。背底にかけるなら両面で受けた方がチャンスあるんじゃないですか？
I feel like we're on Oishi-san's perspective.
熊ちゃん、
well,
川を見てください。
I guess I'm right.
ウーマンは全員切ってますから安牌なんですよ。終盤で K 点に走った誰かがダマで待ってたら嫌でしょ。
Kid let out another groan, put out his cigarette, then took another one.
納得いかないっすね。わざわざ自分で当たり牌減らすなんて。
ちなみに背底で当たり牌出しても論しちゃダメですよ。
I wonder. That's always funny.
え？どうしてですか？
Just then, I heard a voice coming from down the hall.
大石さん、いますか？一般の方から凱旋です。
Oh shit!
ありゃ、こりゃどうも。それじゃ、ちょいと失礼。
どうして論しちゃダメなんすか？ああ、待ってくださいよ、大石さん！
The man sitting in the seat. Oh. I guess this is just the narrator then. The man sitting in the seat Oishi-san was heading towards waved at the telephone receiver.
凱旋です。講習から。
どうもすいません。お待たせしました。大石です。もしもし。
大石さんですか？
Yeah! Let's go.
もしもし。
前原さんじゃありませんか。どうもどうも、こんにちは。
From the tone of my Barracoon's voice, I already knew he was in a predicament. This was the first time my Barracoon had phoned me. And he was calling from a payphone.
落ち着いてください。何がありました？
His voice was erratic over the line. He had completely lost his sense of composure. After checking that nobody else could hear, I prompted him in a hushed tone.
何があったんです？
俺。
Is he okay?
落ち着いて前原さん。今そこに近場の警官を行かせます。私もすぐそっちに行きますよ。
多分、無理です。
What? His voice was quivering and hoarse. He wasn't surrounded by people even as he was making this call, was he?
前原さんは今、公衆電話からかけてますよね。どこの公衆電話ですか？
There were no other sounds beside my Barracoon's voice. It had to be a phone booth. I scratched out a note and thrust it at my colleague sitting across from me. Inamizawa, phone booth. He understood quickly and hastily started on the internal lines.
落ち着いて前原さん。今、どういう状況なんです？
His best practice to avoid flustering someone panicking, but this was an urgent case. My Barracoon didn't just get in trouble, get away, and then call me. he was in the midst of something dangerous right now. But yelling at my Burakun would just needlessly cause him to be even more frantic. My Burakun wasn't just calling to seek help. He was trying to tell us something more than that. And whatever that was, if I didn't get it from this call, I was certain there would be another chance. Never be another chance. My colleague pushed a note in front of me. There's only one booth in Hinamizawa. A patrol car is on the way. 5 minutes.
かかりすぎです。ケイラには何人乗ってます？
二人です。
Not enough. If it was as I imagined, there would likely be quite a few people surrounding my Burakun. 5 minutes was too long.
ひなみ沢の駐在さんには電話しました。
定時巡回の時間です。家人は留守で連絡不能。
そう。クマちゃん、車を回してください。
了解っす。
もしもし、おじさん。
Oh my god!
もしもし、大丈夫です。ちゃんと聞こえてますよ。
There was something wrong with my Burakun. That wasn't a normal coffin sound. Vomiting? Or was it blood? Had he already been attacked? Was he injured?
前原さん、今そこに警官が向かってます。2、3分で到着しますから何とか持ちこたえてください。もしもし、聞こえてますか？前原さん。
I could hear on the other end of the line that he was having a coughing fit. Worst possible situation popped in my mind.
前原さん、犯人は誰です？何人なんです？
俺も最初は人間が犯人なんだと思いました。
Keiichi! I couldn't tell if that was a cough or vomiting.
大丈夫ですか？前原さん。
犯人は人間なんだって。お社様のたたりなんかないんだって。そう思ってました。
Keiichi!
ついさっきまで。だけど、やっぱり。
It was an intense bout of coughing. Then vomiting.
でも、やっぱり、お社様ってのは、いるんだと思います。いや、います。今。
前原さん、どうか落ち着いて。
なんかさっきからおかしいと思ってたんです。ずーっとつけてくるんですよ。
Oh.
走っても走っても走っても走っても影みたいにぴったりくっついて。だけども少しずつ俺の背中ににじり寄ってくるんです。
前原さん、そいつは今ひょっとして前原さんの後ろに？
後ろに、すぐ後ろに。
お願いです前原さん。怖いのはわかります。ですがお願いです。あなたの後ろに誰がいるんです？
振り向けるわけないじゃないですか。振り向いたら俺。
怖いのはわかります。でも教えてほしい。
You gotta tell him, bro.
ちょっと振り返るだけでいいんです。前原さんの後ろに誰がいるんです？
Right after I said that, I could hear him vomiting intensely. What followed was a nightmarish sound.
前原さん、あんたまさか 喉を引っかいてたりはしないでしょうね。
No! There was no answer. But I could hear something like scratching. There was a bang, as if something was being hit. My Burakin had probably dropped the receiver. I could hear groaning and vomiting over and over on the other end, and a repeating abnormal noise.
もしもしもしもし前原さんもしもーし
I knew how far away my voice would sound on the other end, but I couldn't help but shout. At that moment, I heard whispering coming from the other end. I couldn't tell what he was saying. And the way he was saying it, was he talking to himself? Or was he talking to someone there?
もしもし前原さん
He's fucking dead. Rather than whispering, it was some kind of mantra. He was chanting over and over. I focused my senses, trying to pick up what he was saying. What was he repeating? What exactly? Suddenly, the line went dead. Did he use up his time? It's because it was a payphone. It's because it cut out so abruptly. The last thing he said came out so clearly in my mind.
おいさん車 OK っすおいさん
ごめんなさいが
おいさん
That's what he was repeating over and over. He said, I'm sorry. I had a gut feeling. There was no longer a need to hurry. I could hear the chirp of the Higurashi spilling in from the windows. Quake, 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 quake. I should have been able to hear them this entire time. I just wasn't paying any attention. Why did I focus on them all of a sudden? Quake, 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 quake. Were they trying to tell me something? Only the Higurashi knew. That's how I felt. June 1983. In Hinamizawa, a remote village near Shishibone City, there was a murder involving 2 female students. The suspect is Keiichi Maibara, aged 1X. The suspect called over to his female classmates, Reina Ryugu, Mion Sonozaki, to his house and beat them to death with a metal bat. The scene of the crime was the suspect's room on the 2nd floor of his house. The inside of the room was covered with a significant quantity of splattered blood, and there were signs of a struggle with the victims. In addition to the scene of the crime, the entryway, living room, and kitchen all had traces of a struggle. At the entryway, the shoe rack and wall had evidence of being impacted by a strong blunt force. It is believed to have been the same bat as the murder weapon. Having no traces of blood, it is believed that the destruction occurred before the murders. There is the possibility that the suspect overpowered his victims to keep them from fleeing. In the living room, the rug had been pulled back, then thrown aside. It is hard to believe that this had a connection to the struggle with the victims, and thus the reason for this remains unknown. In the kitchen, the garbage bag was torn apart, and its contents were spread out on the floor. Garbage was strewn about in the surrounding area, and handprints believed to belong to the suspect were discovered. It is believed that the suspect had for some reason taken out the garbage and struck it with his fist. The reason for this remains unknown. In addition, there was a note stuck to the fridge. The words, "Was there a needle?" were written on it. The meaning behind this remains unclear. Just in case, the garbage was searched, but a needle was not discovered. Though the garage door was functional, it had been left open ever since the suspect moved in. The garage door was found closed. The suspect's fingerprints were discovered on the garage door. The reason behind this remains unknown. The suspect fled the scene of the crime. However, a patrolling officer, Hinamizawa Local PD, found the suspect collapsed inside a phone booth. At the time of discovery, the suspect was unconscious and critical condition. He was rushed to the local hospital for treatment, but did not regain consciousness and died 24 hours later. Damn. Rip Keiichi, bro. The results of the autopsy indicate the immediate cause of death to have been hypovolemic shock. It was determined that the suspect had clawed at his own throat with his fingernails, and the resulting bleeding caused his death. With the similarity of the death of Tomitake-san the prior week, the police believe there to be a connection and have opened an investigation. However, due to the wishes of the local authorities, it will be a confidential investigation. Due to the abnormal nature of the death, it was suspected that drugs were involved, but as with Tomitake-san, no traces were discovered. What prompted all this remains inexplicable. As such, this case is being treated as an act committed on impulse. However, with several accounts of the suspect's bizarre behavior leading up to the incident, it is possible that this was premeditated. Separated from his group of friends, isolation, inexplicable behavior. Several days before the incident, the suspect began carrying around a metal bat. The suspect was observed displaying aggressive behavior, as well as talking to himself at school. His classmates have actually heard portions of what he was saying. 2 days before the incident, the suspect declared to his parents the possibility of his death. Due to these circumstances, the police have begun an investigation on the possibility that this crime was not committed on impulse, but was instead planned several days in advance. Afterwards, a note was found on the suspect's room that he had written himself. The note was written on 2 sheets from a B5 college-ruled notebook that had each been torn in half. And as if trying to conceal it, stuck behind a clock on the wall. The contents are as written as in the appendix. The police believe it to be strongly related to the incident. The police changed their line of investigation based on the possibility that the suspect was involved in some sort of incident himself. However, no further clues were found, casting doubt on the credibility of the note. Was the crime impulsive or premeditated? With the situation unclear and no further developments, the case has been labeled as unresolved. However, the following year, suspicion arose regarding the nature of the note. The note was not written on 2 halves of B5 paper from 2 separating sheets, but was originally a single sheet of B5 paper. In order to erase several lines from the middle, someone had torn them out. Judging from the size of the letters, the missing section is estimated to be 2 to 3 lines. It is highly probable that the person who eliminated the lines in question is not the suspect. In addition, judging from the traces of large quantities of cellophane tape being stuck to the back of the clock, speculation that something other than the note was stuck there has arisen. The person who first discovered the crime was a detective, rumored to have a connection with the incident, Kurado Oishi. He underwent voluntary questioning, but denies involvement in any damages to the note. The suspect's note. I, Keiichi Maibara, am in fear for my life. I do not know why they are after my life. The only thing I do know is that it has to do with the Oishiro-sama's curse. Reina and Mion are conspirators of perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This is all on the first sheet. The section below has been ripped out. This is from the second sheet. The section above this has been ripped out. I have no idea why it has become like this. If you are reading this, then I am probably already dead. Though you may or may not find my body. You, who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. Keiichi Maibara. Damn, dude. Frick. Frick frack that, dude. Fucking. Wait, what? A new scenario has been unlocked. All cast review session has become available. To play it, select Extra on the title menu and then pick the All Cast Review session. What the hell? So that's chapter 1, huh? God dang, chat. Let's see. Chapter jump. Oh, I guess this is from all the days. Try an extra screen. All cast review session. Let's see. Let's see what this is.
はい。日暮らしの泣く頃に水、鬼隠しをプレイされた皆さん、お疲れ様でした。
Oh. Okay.
いかがだったでしょうか？
Horrifying.
ちょっぴりでも楽しんでもらえたら、とっても嬉しいです。
I did enjoy it, but you've also terrified me out of my wits' end.
ちょっぴりも何も。あんなすごいバッドエンドで終わられたら、プンプンでございますことよ。
That's what I'm saying, Tsutoko. Me too.
プンプンなのです。今回の鬼隠しは、全体の謎に挑む人たちが最初に通るお話。
Interesting.
だから実質上のプロローグの位置づけなんだって。
Okay.
そのプロローグがこんな凄まじいバッドエンドでございます
でもそういうのってあるじゃん。
Good point.
この最悪のバッドエンドを回避するために、プレイヤーさんが物語を模索していくのがこの作品の醍醐味だし。
まだ始まったばかりですよ。僕は次のお話が楽しみなのです。
They are right about that. I am looking forward to that.
これからどんな話が待ち受けてるんだろう。レナは聞いてる？
Don't tell me.
うん。
Oh, no. Another aspect of the story. Okay.
他のシナリオにはどんな展開があるんですの？今回の鬼隠しでは、ひなみ沢で近年起こった連続開始事件が紹介されたでしょ？
Right.
例えば、みーちゃんのシナリオでは、ひなみ沢の古い歴史なんかが紹介されるんだって。
Oh, okay.
異常事態の連続ですっかりわかんなくなっちゃったけど、お社様のたたりってどういうものなのか。
A great question, Mion, honestly.
いや、そもそも、お社様って何なのか、あまり説明なかったからね。
Honestly, you're not even wrong.
よくは聞いてないんだけど、 でも、なんか嫌な予感。またしてもたたられそうな嫌な物語です。
You don't say!
ケイちゃんも大変だね。
Tough luck! Oh well!
今度はどんなたたりにやられるやら。
Wait, this time, my man's dead. He ain't gonna be hit with nothing except the afterlife.
でも、どんなお話になるのか楽しみでございますわね。
My man's gonna be hit Grim Reaper's scythe is what's happening. Huh? Oh, hey, Oishi.
いやいやいやいや、遅れてすみませんね。
Hey, no problem at all. What's up, my man? How we doing?
やあ、
Hey! Tomitake! My man! Hey!
お疲れ様。
お疲れ。
Yeah!
あれ、ケイちゃんは？
He's dead.
ケイチ君はもう次のシナリオの台本読みに行っちゃってるんだよ。
Oh, wait, yeah, yeah. I keep saying that, but Mion and Reina are all here too, so... I guess this is like the actors? I don't know.
主人公だから大変だね。
あれ？残念ですね。ちょっとだけでも顔を出してくれればよかったのに。
Yeah, Kei-chan, how rude.
きっと喋るワード数が多すぎて居残りなのです。
That's not true. He has the fucking he's got a portrait of him in some of the CGs. That's not true.
前原さんのセリフだけで普通のアドベンチャーゲームなら全部の量がありますからね。
That's what we call a personal problem. Got him.
しかし、ケイチ君やレナちゃんなんか特にだけど、大変なお話だったね。
Yeah, no shit.
大変も何も大大バッドエンドでございますわ。
That was the mother of all bad ends.
結局、ケイチ君を襲ったのって正体は何なんだろう。
Probably Oyashira.
たたりに見せかけておいて、実は人間の仕業ってのが僕の推理なんだけどね。
でもケイチは最後に謎の電話をかけてきていましたのです。
うん。私もあの電話は変だと思ったね。
Who wouldn't think that was strange?
あの時点でケイちゃんは犯人は人間だと確信してたはずなのにさ。
おかしな電話でしたわよね。
Mm-hmm.
なんかお化けに追いかけられてるみたいな。あの電話だけだとやっぱり犯人って人間じゃなくてたたりなのかなって思っちゃうよね。
せっかくですから意見を出してみようじゃありませんか。
All right, I'm down. Let's get cracking.
じゃあ園崎さんから。
私は絶対に人間説。
I don't know. I'm honestly in the camp of people that just believe it was Oyashira. Honestly.
ひなみ沢の怪しい昔語りかなんかになぞらえて、誰かが起こしてる人為的事件だと思うね。
かに。毎年お祭りの日になると起こる連続開始事件なんて怪しいもんね。
その連続開始っていうのも、何かの昔語りの再現なんだよ、きっと。
私はたたりだと思いましたよ。
Yeah, same here, Satoko.
玄関で圭一さんが暴れたシーンとか、ラストの電話のシーンとかを見れば、人間が犯人では説明がつきませんもの。
Yeah, and he wasn't hit with the drug, so obviously some outer deity was messing with him, so.
そういえばそうだよね。とても人間の仕業とは思えないシーンだったし。
Yep.
僕はそれでも人間が犯人だと思うね。
Nah.
あの玄関やラストのシーンは追い詰められた圭一君の被害意識からの妄想じゃないかって思うんだ。
難しい言葉を使われてもわかりませんわ。つまり、怖がりの圭一が見た幻だと言ってるのです。じゃあ、あのシーンの正体は、圭一さんの後ろにいた謎の気配は何なんですの？
引っ掛けだよ、引っ掛け。
みーちゃん、引っ掛けってどういう意味？
Something to throw you off. That's essentially the long and short of it.
富田のおじさまが言うようにさ、あのシーンは追い詰められたケイちゃんの被害妄想のシーンなんだよ。それを濃密に書くことで、プレイヤーにたたりだと思わせようとする演出なんだよ。だから引っ掛けってわけ。
それを言われると、でも。
まあ、そういう可能性もあるってことだよ。
だとすると、犯人は複数で村ぐるみっていう劇中の大石さんの推理は正しいのかな？当の本人の大石さんはどう思いますか？
私ですか？なはははは。悩みますね。
あれ？僕はてっきり大石さんは人間説だと思ってましたけど。
劇中の私は犯人は人間だと断じてますが、人間が犯人だとすると、いろいろ不可解なことが多いんですよ。
Yup.
例えばどんな？大石刑事さんの推理を聞かせてください。
まず人間が犯人だとすると、絶対に動機が必要なんです。
Hey, Golden.
こういうことをして、誰が得をするのかってことなんです。
つまりおじさま、人間が犯人なら連続開始事件を起こすことによって誰かが得をしなくちゃいけないってこと？
そういうことです。ダム開発の関係者が死ぬうちは利害も感じられましたが、近年の犠牲者はそれとも無縁です。
This is just an extra, this is like, the cast meeting together talking about who could have, led to the ending of Chapter 1. we finished chapter 1. Keiichi died, Reina died, and Mion died. I know they're on screen, but this is just like a little cute little extra. Consider these two dead. They are dead. And so is Keiichi, the main character.
第一、前原さんを殺して誰が得をすると言うんです？
No, not everyone's dead. Just these two and Keiichi. Not everyone's dead. Just Reina, Mion, and Keiichi.
なるほ
And
ど。
and Tomitake, obviously.
そう言われると僕も弱いな。
だってお金とかも取られてはいないんですもの。人間が犯人なわけありませんわ。でもそうとばかりは限らないんじゃない？さっきみーちゃんが言ったように何かの昔語りの再現そのものに意味があるんだとしたら。
そういうこと。これは営利殺人じゃないんだよ。きっとこれは村の血塗られた歴史を再現するための何らかの儀式的殺人じゃないかなって思うわけ。
では聞きますですが、それを再現すると誰か得をするのですか？
得をするんじゃなくて、もっと心理的なもの。僕は何かの復讐じゃないかと思うね。土着的な何か。今回のシナリオでは語られなかった因縁だよ。
なるほど。過去にひどい扱いを受けた暴家の人たちが先祖の恨みを晴らすためにってな感じですか？私はそれにも反対ですね。
じゃあ何？大石さんはまさかたたり派なわけ？
そうですわ、そうですわ。刑事役の大石さんが言うんですもの。たたりに決まってますわ。
で、
劇中で前原さんが言うように、お社様が竜宮さんや園崎さんに乗り移って悪さをしているって考えると、一番辻褄が合うんです。残念ながら。
実はレナも大石さんと同じ意見なの。あんなに優しかったレナやミーちゃんが突然おかしくなるなんて、そうじゃなきゃ説明つかないもの。
そこはミオンの私が言うのも変だけど、やっぱり私なんだと思う。
I don't know. You already died.
ミーの話の意味が分かりにくいのですよ。説明が欲しいのです。
ああ、ごめん。つまりさ、これってすっごく残酷な話なんじゃないかって思うんだよ。
I've already gained that much.
何みーちゃん。それってひょっとして。
突き詰めるとそうなるのかな。僕もちょっと疑ってる。
つまり竜宮さんも園崎さんも実は本当にああいう性格で 引っ越してきたばかりの前原さんを騙している悪魔なんだと。こういうわけですか？
そんなの嫌ですわ。これは全部タタリの仕業なんですのよ。レナさんもミオさんもみんな優しい、いい人がいいのですの。レナもそうだな。レナやミーちゃんって本当にいい人なんだって思う。きっと劇中で出てきた厳しいシーンは何かに取り憑かれてたんだって思うの。
レナもタタリ派か。じゃあ、タタリ派の皆さんにお聞きしますけどさ、タタリが怒るからには、それなりの理由があるんでしょ？無差別にたたるとは思えないな。そこんとこ説明できるの？
タタリはタタリですもの。人間の考えでは想像もつきませんわ。
That's true.
さとこちゃん。擬人化された神様という存在は結局は人間の生み出したものなんだよ。
Also true.
だからその考え方も人間に理解できるようにできてる。ギリシャ神話の神様を見てごらんよ。泣いたり怒ったり嫉妬したり、とにかく人間的なんだよ。
つまりお社様もまた人間同様に何らかの利害に基づいてたたりをしているということですか？
変な言い方になっちゃったけど、つまりはそういうこと。
触らぬ神にたたりなしって言いますからね。なははは、一理あります。
つまりお社様にせよ人間にせよ何か理由があるはずということなのです。でもリカ、その理由がはっきりしないならどうなりますの？つまりはわかんないということなのです。そうだね。まだプロローグだもんね。
よ。
明かされていないことがたくさんあるだろうし。
そうだね。現時点ではこれ以上の推理は難しいね。
いんにゃ。白黒つけないと納得できないな。
ミオンさんもこだわりますのね。
限られた状況で最大限に推理する。ちょっぴり部活感覚で面白いでしょ？
そう考えれば面白いかも。
じゃあ整理してみましょうか。
Alright.
私はたたり派です。富武さんは人間派でしたよね。
ええ。僕は人間が犯人ってことでいきます。
人間犯人説。もちろん、タタリというファンタジーは嫌いじゃないよ。だけど、今回の事件に限っては、タタリの線は薄いね。
人間派が2人出ましたね。リュウグさんはタタリ派でしたよね。
はい。レナとサトコちゃんはタタリ派です。ねえ。ええ。タタリ派ですわよ。レナさんやミオンさんのことを悪魔みたいに言う人の方がよっぽどタタリに会うべきですの。
そりゃあまあ、私も自分のキャラがそんな悪魔みたいなやつだとは思いたくないけどさ。部活モードの時にはクールでなきゃ。感情論だけで選ぶと大やけどするよ。
まあまあ。どっちを選んだっていいじゃないですか。
あれ？リカちゃんがまだだね。
Yeah, what's Rika think?
どっちだと思う？僕は、お社様が悪い神様だとは思わないですよ。
あれ？面白い意見だね。
That's a really interesting opinion.
たたってばかりの悪い神様なら、祀るのは嫌なのです。僕はたたるより、ご利益のある神様の方が好きなのですよ。そっか、リカちゃんって巫女さんをやってるんだよね。いい意見。
じゃあ何？リカちゃんはお社様じゃないって思うなら、やっぱ犯人は人間って思うわけ？
そういうことにしますのです。
ありゃまあ。票がざっくり分かれましたね。
Yep.
タタリ派と人間派で半々ですか。
Oh, shit. Reina-chan, just for reference, what did the test players who played the beta think? Yeah. There were a lot of more players who believed in the people explanation. See, right there. Our veteran comrades are cool, collected, and very observant. But the beta version only finished partway through the story. That's right. Even the people who played the beta might change their minds if they got to the very end.
どうすんのさ。
Okay.
これじゃ意見は半々。決着がつかなくて面白くないよね。
裁判官が奇数なのは、つまりそういうことだからね。あと一人意見が欲しいな。
あ、ならちょうどいいかな。ケイイチくん本人に聞いてみない？
Oh.
電話で。たたり殺された本人の意見は貴重ですよ。
True.
そうと決まれば早速電話ですわ。もしもし、ケイチくん？レナです。今お仕事お忙しいですか？
ああ、忙しいぞ。 シナリオが1本終わって一休みって思ってたら、すぐに次のシナリオだもんな。
で、
ケイちゃんどんな感じ？忙しいって？
うん。拗ねてる。
聞こえてるぞ、こらお前ら打ち上げ会でいいよな俺も出たかった。
Oh, shit.
収録の残り台詞数で僕たちの誰か一人でも抜いたら、ケイイチも参加できるのですよ。リカ、あの量でそれは不可能ですわ。あ、それで、ごめんね、ケイチくん。今回のシナリオでね、ケイチくん、死んじゃったじゃない？
Well, no, duh.
犯人は誰だろうねって、そういう話をしてるの。
つまりさ、ケイちゃんを殺したのは人間かお社様のたたりかってことで意見が分かれちゃってるのよ。
本当にごめんね。台本読みで忙しいところ。ケイチくんはどっちだと思うかな？
そんなの決まってんじゃねえか。
どっち？
どっちなんてもんじゃねえよ。
はぁ？
村の怪しげな奴らに狙われて、さらにお社様とかいう怪しいのにたたられて、
True enough.
人間もたたりも全部、これは何かの嫌がらせか。
Everybody's just picking on me.
かわいそかわいそです。今度頭をなでなでしてあげますですよ。
結局、意見が分かれちゃったね。
私ももう一度考え直してみます。見落としがあるかもしれませんので。
それでは引き続き、日暮らしの泣く頃に水をお楽しみくださいね。
Watanagashi. Okay. Oh, that's the name of the festival. Oh, shit. Alright then. Interesting. Well, guys, that was Higurashi Chapter 1, the self-proclaimed prologue of the story. So, what does chat think? Was it the curse or was it the people? I'm gonna give you something to think about. In the meantime, let's find someone to raid. I think it's a curse. There's genuinely no way it's not the curse. Actually, no shot, dude. No shot. Shot? Oh, Lord. Let's see. Twitch, who do we raid? You know what? Let's switch stuff up today. We're gonna raid, We're gonna raid a bigger streamer today. Because why not? Just because we can. Ain't nobody tell us what we can and can't do. If we want to rate a bigger streamer, we will. Let me see. Alright, this is our raid message. Wait, no, not that one, not one. Don't copy that one, don't copy that one. Man, my stuff do like to not be working. Hold on. There we go. That is the raid message. Let me actually switch the screens.
Alright, let's see. Da-na-da-na-da-na-da-na. Here, I will throw you in here. And hello!
Hey, Kisa.
What's up, my friendly bear named Hope?